Destruction Derby Arenas was the 5th game in the Destruction Derby series. It released on January 9th, 2004 in Europe and March 30th, 2004 in North America. The game was released to mixed reviews, averaging roughly a 5 out of 10, with it sitting at a 57 out of 100 on Metacritic. The game was quickly passed off, and we haven't seen another Destruction Derby game since. To complete the game, you have to complete the championship. The championship is split up into 4 rounds, with each round containing 3 races and 1 derby. To continue on to the next round, you have to place either 1st, 2nd, or 3rd overall for that round. You also have to place in the top 3 on the final round. Even though there isn't a round after the final round, you have to place within the top 3 in order to actually finish the game. If you do not place within the top 3 of a round, you will get the message "round failed," and your run will end. You will have to start the championship all over from the beginning. Now that we've covered the basics on how the game actually works, let's dive into the speedrunning history. Dougie404 recorded the first known speedrun of this game. His time, 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 42 seconds, and he played as the character Cadence. His run was uploaded to twitch.tv, and unfortunately the clip is no longer available on his page, so the footage on screen is not his run. Up to this point, I haven't mentioned the 4 starting characters of this game. In Destruction Derby Arenas, you unlock characters by beating their scores on their respective events. Every race and derby has a designated track champion, and beating the track champion's score will unlock them as a playable character. For the new game category, you only start with 4 characters: Set, Cadence, Sebastian Noire, and Jenna Makucha. This isn't super important, as one character is far better than the other ones in terms of speed. After Dougie404's run, we will see a very common theme with a driver that speedrunners are choosing to use. Following Dougie404's run, no one else ran the game for almost 2 years. In May of 2017, speedrunner Naquo set the new world record using the character Set. I hinted at it earlier when I said one character is better than the others as far as speed. This character is Set. Cadence is strong but slow, and Set is weak but fast. And obviously in a speedrun setting, speed is key, so Set was the clear choice. Here again, the video is no longer available to view, so we cannot see what techniques were used or any other strategies used by the runner. Naquo's run broke the 1 hour barrier of this game with a time of 53 minutes and 20 seconds. Once again, after this run, there was no activity for quite a while. This time, it was 11 months later when speedrunner Maddie Gaming broke the world record with his time of 52:13. Unfortunately again, this video is no longer available to view. I know it feels like I kind of skipped through these last few runs pretty quickly, and to be honest, I did, just because we don't have any footage to look at or really anything to talk about with them at all. All we have is what we can assume. The general assumption is that there was no strategy or technique other than just going as fast as you possibly can through every single race and every single derby. I didn't mention this, but all of these previous runs used the character Set other than the original run by Dougie404, and going forward, every single run of this category also uses the character Set. Lucky for us, this is where things finally start to change. The game lay dormant for a number of years, that number being 2, until the 5th of June, 2020, when speedrunner Treverse uploaded his speedrun of 4812. Finally, we have some footage to look at. It was a fairly standard speedrun with some great race times, and up to this point, as mentioned earlier, the strategy was just to play every race as fast as you could, but that would soon change. Throughout all of this time, the game only had 1 category on speedrun.com, and the moderation team was basically just whoever last posted a run. There was no active member of the speedrunning community of this game. Then four-iguy came along. Yes, I am talking about myself in the 3rd person. I don't like to talk about myself, but in this case, it's fairly important to the story of this game. When four-iguy took over moderation of Destruction Derby Arenas, he added a number of new categories as well as individual race times. This happened not too long after Treverse set his world record, and he was still an active speedrunner within other games in the community. There was also a small but dedicated Destruction Derby Arenas Discord community now. This allowed for better communication within the small community of Destruction Derby arenas. We could now share all of our thoughts and different strategies and techniques we were coming up with for this game. On July 17th, 2021, four-iguy uploaded a run setting a new world record of 40:28. With almost 8 minutes shaved off of Treverse's run, a new strategy had been discovered. This run was more of a proof of concept from four-iguy than an actual attempted speedrun at this time. You see, speedrunning this game is fairly unique. I mentioned earlier you had to place in the top 3 at the end of every round in order to continue on to the next round. However, that position is solely based off of points, meaning as long as you had enough points to place in the top 3 at the end of every round, you would move on. We also discovered that you could quit out of a derby and keep the points you had when you quit. With this knowledge, four-iguy ran the game normally up to round 4, where he skipped all 3 races and only played the B-movie derby in order to earn all of his points for round 4. This run sort of reinvigorated the speedrunning community behind this game. There was now an actual strategy, an actual goal, and an actual challenge behind it. The very next day, on July 18th, 2021, four-iguy broke his own world record by almost 8 minutes, taking the runtime down to 32:20 by cutting more races out of the run. Now, the original world record time for this game had officially been cut in half. four-iguy skipped Chinatown and Steelworks in round 1, and he skipped Casino in round 2, and he skipped Chinatown 2 in round 3, and, once again, skipped all 3 races in round 4. This new route cut 7 full races out of the runtime of this game. 20 days later, on August 7th, 2021, Treverse came back and broke the world record with his time of 30:34. He used very similar strategies as four-iguy as far as skipping tracks, but he opted to skip Harbor instead of Casino in round 2, which proved to be faster. With this run being so close to the 30-minute time barrier, the community knew that sub 30 was definitely possible. I don't want to spoil too much of the rest of this video, but this would be the best run that we have ever seen on official PS2 hardware. The resulting reaction from Treverse is epic.
Yes! Woo, baby! Hell yeah! Thank God I was gonna lose my goddamn mind. Woo, baby! Yeah.
I love his reaction there. As hinted at earlier, this run would eventually be beaten, but not on official hardware. On February 3rd, 2022, VyZiXoN set a new world record with his time of 29:32, breaking the 30-minute barrier. He used the exact same route as Treverse had in his previous world record, but he had much better luck during the derbies and earned points much quicker. Only 6 days later, February 9th, 2022, VyZiXoN broke his own world record with a new time of 28:08, using the same route with even better luck and skill during Titan and B-movie specifically. It's not a completely apples-to-apples comparison, however, as playing on an emulator, your loading times are much quicker. I looked at the runs side by side and tried my best to go frame by frame through the loading screens and compare the two, Treverse's PS2 hardware run and VyZiXoN's emulator run, and I found that the emulator saves roughly 37 seconds throughout the entire run on loading screens. Emulators suffer in other areas though. For example, when you destroy an enemy car, the emulator slows to a crawl. I do not mean for any of this to sound like I am discrediting VyZiXoN's run. It was a fantastic run and hands down is better than Treverse. I'm only pointing out the differences between the emulator and official PS2 hardware. So that's it. That's where this category is at right now. The last record being set February 9th, 2022. This category is not played anymore very often, and most of the current members play the New Game Plus category, which is newly available. This is much less restrictive, and you can choose any car you want to start with, rather than just the 4 starting cars. You also have the option to have your car be fully upgraded by completing the championship numerous times. This category is much faster and overall much more enjoyable than the New Game option. During all of this, there were only 2 other runners for this game. game, and I'd like to point them out as well. They deserve some credit as well for this game. On September 23rd, 2020, Ryonetic got a run of 5102. Which at the time was second place in the world. He played as Set on an emulator, and much more recently, Funk Goes On set a time of 29:47, also on an emulator, and this was on March 22nd, 2023. Funk's run is currently still second place in the world, and if anyone is to beat the world record, it's most likely going to be him. He is very active in this community, and is constantly finding new ways to push this game, so I want to give a special thank you to Funk Goes On. Alright, well that's about it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in this game, check out some of the runs linked below, and consider joining the Discord. We'd love to have you. Also, leave a comment with what I could have improved on, and what you'd like to see for next time. Thank you.